waxaan ku salaamay salaanta diinta islaamka assalaamu calaykum soo dhawaada ku soo dhawaada magaalada Hargeisa ee caasimadda Somaliland magacayga waxa la yiraahdaa Dr. Cabdi Gaas waxaan ahay College University President horena waxaan u ahaa Hargeisa University President iyo Murad Sheikh halkan dalkan Somaliland aanu leenahay 9 sano aan ka maraya waxaan ka soo retire garoobay Mareykan after 35 years anigoo yar baa togo timale anigoo timiyayga dhamaadeen oo soo noqday 9 sano aan joogay waxaan ku jiray tacliinta sare aad bay farxad aniga igu tahay in caawa aan la joogo dad ka yimid Mareykan oo professionalism wax bartay okay oo maanta leh isku hawshamo yiri war maxaan u qaban karnaa iyo waxyaalo badan oo soo qabtay marka aad baan aniga idin gelinaysaa in idinkoo Somaliland aad timaadeen waxyaalo badan oo soo qabateen hindisihiina ay ku jirto in wax badan oo si qaban doontaan marka caawa waxa weeyaan discussion inaanu dhageysano dadkaygii reer Hargeysa inaanu ka mid ahay because imka qurba joog ma yahay qolqol joog baan noqday 9 years is long enough okay marka inaynu caawa fursad isku yeelano aad Somaliland aan iska hubiyo magacayana qaldin Somaliland Professionals Association of America SLPA oo chapter badan leh oo aan xogooda badan ka hayo oo isku hawleynay waxyaalo badan u qabtaan idinka imaatinka halkan timideen amba xog ururiya amba nala wadaaga waxaad u qabateen amba u qaban doontaan Somaliland hadaba on behalf of Somaliland universities informally and leaders unahay waxa jira waxyaalo badan oonu ka simanahay baahidayada oonu isleenahay idinku role door ba ka ciyaari kartaan ina ka caawisaan whether directly or indirectly amba si dadban amba si toosan taana waan la sheer garan doonaa hadhow hadaba yana hadalka badinina Somaliland ku soo dhawaada sometimes waxa jira su'aasha niyowda 9 sano joogtay aad 3 bilood baan joogay 3 bilood baan joogay waxaan marka niyow how do you adjust or acclimate here marka I'm a resource free at no cost to you you can call me you may have my card here and you can consult at no cost to you and say you know I'm thinking about this how can I go about it because I have 9-year experience idin faa'iideyn kara so you will avoid pitfalls in assimilation in this country marka aad waxaan ugu mahadnaqayaa Faisa Cabdilaahi Barre iyo odaygeeda oo halkan igu marti qaaday idinkoo idin marti qaaday caawa waan furitaan u baahay xafladuna imika way inoo furan tahay thank you very much
Today our discussion will be involved around Somaliland's development we're all diaspora or people who've been to America the topics that we're going to cover today is what is SLPA exactly and what are some changes you'd like to see within Somaliland another thing is how can professionals us as professionals come together and create a brain trust and advance the goals of Somaliland and how as specifically as Americans and I know there's Canadians in the audience so apologies but how can specifically as Americans contribute to that discussion I told you all to write down what is one thing you'd like to change about Somaliland a lot of you have very colorful answers but the one thing that I've noticed is that the roads are number 1 and also nadafada so basically the environmental problems another thing that I see here is women in sports to clean the downtown and yeah basically roads and quality control so I think that is something that's on the top of our mind it is something that hinders us every day when we're going to work going to school going to the grocery store so it's very advantageous for us to fix our roads so with that being said I wanted to open up this discussion and if anyone has ideas how can SLPA us as a organization can help in terms of road development or nadafada and what is some of the things that you think that we can contribute so if anyone wants to raise their hands
Assalamu alaikum dhammaantiin waan salaamayaa aad iyo aadna waa ugu mahadsantihiin organizationka iyo intiina ka soo qayb gashayba anugu ma yihi diaspora malawan isku dhex jiraaye anugu jaamacad maanu tagoon Mareykanka markaa America intaas ma joogay laakiin idinkoo kale waa kolley badankiin waxaad in diaspora dad badan baan arko xagga joogo ma garanaysaa waxaan u maleynayaa inay maskaxdeeni ma garanaysaa dibadda qabatay ay u baahan tahay inay soo noqoto marka idinkuna aad tihiin ma garanaysaa beginningkii anigu waxyaabo badan baa ayaa ma garanaysaa waddanka laga qaban karaa oo ma garanaysaa just inspiration adoo ka soo qaadanaya halkii aad soo aragtay wixii saxsanaa ma garanaysaa wax kasta inuu qaadano maaha wixii saxsanaa uun intaan focus ka saaro aynu ma garanaysaa waxyaabo badan baa la soo kordhin karaa iminka magaalado kale dhibaatooyinka ka jira anigu clean the downtown aniga qoray dhibaatooyinka ka jira waxaa ka mid ah suuqii hoose like the downtown is way xiran tahay sababay xiran tahay ma garanaysaa necessary ma jiro meelaha badankooda waxa jooga meelo badan waxa xidhay businessyo yaryar dad dan yar wax ku iibinaya laakiin wadooyinka badankoodii gawaadhi iska baargaraysan biro iska taagtaagan oo xataa xarka ku xidhnayn waxaasoo kale ayaa gooyey marka iyadoon lacag iyo waxba iyo ma garanaysaa dhib badan la gelin organization haddii ma garanaysaa la ahaado oo howlahan oo kale lasoo bandhigo laga hadlo waxaan waxbay nagu kacayn ma garanaysaa iminka downtown-keenu Hargeysa is not that bad dusha marka daroon ka sawirto is actually very nice laakiin gudaheeda markaad marayso you guys know so waxa weeye haddaynu isku dumnaano ma garanaysaa uu hadalku bato waxyaabahaasoo kale aynu ma garanaysaa ka hadallo inagu is organize garayno inuu dadkii policy makerska hayoo kale u tagno inuu idhaahno okay we can take the lead on this we can fix this it's not going to cost you anything I think there's a lot we can do marka I'm happy to see you all back here and yeah thank you.
You know, if you have something to add to Mubarak's comments, then you can. So a question that I want to follow up is what is the worst experience that you've had in the roads and while driving the roads in Hargeisa, or it could be environmental too, because I saw Nadafada on there too. So what's the worst thing that's happened to you?
magacayga waxa la yiraahdaa Saciid Ismaaciil Sheekh Ibrahim adigu imika waxaan joogaa wadanka 10 bilood baan intuu deganay xagga waxaan ku maqlaa 20 years and mostly corporate America IT cyber security worked for Oracle IBM the shenanigans there's a bit of a disconnect between the diaspora lens and the local reality. Emeka, you're absolutely correct. Roads are all blocked up. But the lady that's selling fruits there, she's trying to feed a family. It's not an inconvenience. Yes, it's a problem. We need to get somewhere, right? Because I don't have time to spend 30 minutes in traffic in downtown. Roads are an issue, but it's more of a systemic problem. Systemic problem in that I don't want to get into anything sort of political, and I'm not, if any of you is interested, I have something to do with a little outlet called Somaliland Chronicle. We discuss all of that on that in detail. Okay, so my experience of Somaliland is, like you said, the brain drain. Dadku maaragtay markii de wadankii ka wada tageen and waa yara dhibaato. At the same time, we gotta be careful how we say that, because the local talent sees you as you're coming back to take his job. That little director general who climbed and never left, you think he's gonna scooch over so he can take his job? No, right? So there's a bit of a push back from those guys that never left. The biggest thing that a professional association like the SPLA could do is sort of bridge that gap in a way that doesn't just say the roads are garbage. this is that. I mean, we all know about tax collection rate. It's not what it's supposed to be. So again, the problem is more systemic. I mean, I didn't come back to, fix the roads per se myself or collect trash. I don't throw out a plastic bottle outside. I throw it in my car. But how do you really get that to your neighbors so they don't put their trash outside and burn it? How much time do you have to go and talk to everybody, right? I see these problems as systemic, but our role that I see, waxa la oran karaa warniyow horta dadkii aynu nidhaahno horta meeshii kaalay adeegda we all maaragtay process on Twitter say this should be this way, this should be that way, but until you're here and you've lived a life, you're doing 3 years, 9 years, I got 10 months, I'm still an infant. I left here like recently, just the year 2000. So I would say there's a lot that needs fixing. Roads is just one of the many problems, right? But try not to compromise, because one of the pushbacks you're gonna get is people will tell you, this is not New York. That's a common response when you say, this shouldn't be this way. They'll say, well, it ain't Chicago, man. Get used to it, right? So not sort of falling in that trap, but at the same time adjusting your lens a little bit to say, why is it this way, right? So I'll get off my high horse. Again, we need to do this more often.
But I wanted to go ahead and, since we've started a bit late, go ahead and talk about what SLPA is and what we're going to do. Somaliland Professional Association is officially a 501c organization in the United States. It's a space for Somaliland Americans to collaborate and exchange ideas. It's nonpartisan, so this is what we're emphasizing. It's nonpartisan and an apolitical organization. So we have no political aspirations, political kind of influence, any of that. We just want to have a positive effect for generations to come. It's a network of different organizations to just face critical issues. SLPA will link Somaliland American professionals with the professionals based in Somaliland. Okay, so you'll meet the team. Here's me. Here's the executive team. Isaac Gas, who's the son of Dr. Abdi Gas. Ido Yusuf, who works in public health. I work in public health as well. Isaac Gas works in finance. Yasin works in IT, and Rahma works in IT. So we are in all together. Our executive team is very diverse in terms of what we are, what our career outlook is, and also what our expertise is. Our objectives is we work closely with the Somaliland mission in DC to bring together the Somaliland Americans. So we are housed in Washington, D.C. at the Somaliland mission. 2019 accomplishments, we had a Zoom, a launch conference where a lot of you might have joined us. We had also coffee meetups where Abdiqani was part of the Ohio meetup. So we did it in D.C., Columbus, Minneapolis, San Francisco, and Seattle. We had a Ramadan fundraiser for the Bur'ub Academy, and also a panel discussion and a Somaliland Development Conference in Marist College. So unfortunately, I don't know if anyone in the room was there, but it was in New York. It was a very, very successful meeting. We also had summer internships, for example, and we placed nurses at Adna Aden Hospital. We have placed some students who were working in economics at the Ministry of Finance. And we did partnerships with Somaliland organizations across US and Canada, Australia, so throughout the world. In 2020, we co-fundraised $100,000 for COVID-19 relief efforts alongside of the Somaliland American Health Association and the Amud Foundation. We hosted the official May 18th event via Instagram due to COVID-19. So if you check our Instagram, you'll see me talking to the ambassador and interviewing and some other public health experts on COVID-19 awareness. We hosted also a June 26th event alongside Ambassador Bashir God, talking about similar to what we're talking about today as Somaliland Americans' role in development. And we also kick-started our program across the country for undergraduate students. Our biggest accomplishment in 2020 is we became a 501c, so now we can apply for grants. So that makes us a very solidified organization where we can house, we can employ people, we can create programming, and also secure partnerships with other organizations. So we grew our membership base to 340 members across 31 states. So that's a very good, great thing. And then we kickstarted our quarterly annual op-ed. So this is a very, very exciting piece right now. You can send us an op-ed, and then we will push it out to be published. So if you're a subject matter expert in any field, you can send us your piece. We're going to expand the coffee meetups. So hopefully, COVID-19, we will try to expand that program, host an SLPA conference in the United States. So hopefully we can finance that. Host an art and culture event, summer internships, growing our mentorship base, and spearheading advocacy efforts to help Somaliland reach self-determination. And we want to continue to partner with other Somaliland organizations, such as HarHub, and we're very, very grateful for HarHub to partner with us for today's meeting. So our membership base is basically a lot on the East Coast, but we have memberships across the US, and we have basically a growing number of members that are represented by every sector possible. So here's an opinion that you can, so we're gonna start our roundtable discussion. So this is one of the opinions that always comes up in terms of Somaliland and how to kind of gauge our minds. Why do some development professionals, while believing they are acting in the interest of recipients, so often act in the interest of their own donor country or organization? And how can this tendency be mitigated? So thank you so much. If you have any other questions about SLPA, please come to me. You can also go to www.myslpa.org and register. Of course, you registered up front, but you can also have other like-minded individuals to register as well. How do organizations get away from the need-based psyche, or how do we get away from basically being aid dependent? So how do we become self-sustaining, and we're not, and this is a very politically correct way of saying, how do we stay away from corruption, from being selfish in terms of our programming? So how do we get away from that, and so it's more, we have we are making programming for the interests of the country.
And the question you pose, I think we need to move away from a donor mentality to a development mentality. I think it was Paul Kagame who was saying, why is it in Africa we don't talk, well, other countries, they talk about markets. How do we build the market? What is the market doing? Here we're talking more about how much was donated to a particular country. And that's not necessarily just Somaliland, you see that all across Africa. So the question is for us as professionals, we have to lead the way in terms of bringing that development mentality, because like you said, not everyone has seen what we've seen. To them, the system is not broken maybe. Unless they've seen something different, they're very happy with the status quo. And most of the time, people are just trying to survive. They don't have time to change the system. That lady you're talking about who's selling fruit on the side of the road, the guy who's driving the bus who we maybe don't particularly appreciate because he's cutting you off in traffic, and doesn't pull over to the side of the road. Everybody's just trying to make a buck to survive. So SLPA, I think, is a great organization that, first of all, we should support, and I'm glad that we're bringing the programming here to Hargeisa, where it matters, because why I came back to Somaliland and why many of us came back was to bring what we've learned that was positive back to the country to develop it. Because at the end of the day, this is what we have. Our grandfathers are born here and buried here. We have nowhere else to go to. If this place does not succeed, where else can we truly go? I mean, you're a guest everywhere else. This is the only other country other than America when I come and they say, welcome home. And that means something to us. So I think we have to sort of lead the way. And the way we lead that, I'm a business owner, so we own an insurance company, we set it up. One of the things I've learned since being in business in Somaliland is there's this copycat mentality. People copy each other very, very quickly and very easily. Sometimes it's a negative, but sometimes it's a positive. You may notice now when people are building homes, they're becoming more and more beautiful every year, because somebody is coming with a new design and it looks cool, and then somebody tries to copy it, and so then people are now starting to say, what is somebody else doing? And if they like it, they will do it. So the question is, as an organization of professionals, what can we do that other people can copy from us? We're talking about roads. Every single day, I hear somebody complain about the roads, and with good reason. Local, diaspora, whatever, we're all complaining about the roads. The other day, we went to see Edna, for example, Edna Adam. She had a brand new truck donated from Taiwan that she could not use. And the truck was a mobile, what was it called? A hybrid truck that is supposed to go out into communities and actually screen people for cancer and all of that. We said, why can't you use that? Because the machines are so sensitive that I can't put them on the road. So there are practical reasons why the roads are a problem. And we cannot necessarily blame other people. The question is, what can we do as an organization? I promise you, if we as an organization build one road and we get on TV and we said SLPA has built this road, other people will then come and pitch in and say, okay, let's build some more roads, right? And can we start leading by example in different sectors? Cleanup crews. You see, I hate that I always have to bring up Paul Kagame as an example, but I will do it anyway. He goes out and he cleans. So as a group, let's go out and maybe do a cleanup day and see if we can start changing the hearts and minds of people, because the guy who throws a plastic bottle outside of the car does not see that as a problem. Those of us who have seen the rest of the world and understanding that plastic's not going anywhere anytime soon if you throw that out. We have to sort of be the change that we want to see. That's at least my message, and I think we probably will agree with that. So action-wise, what can we do, whether it's raising money, whether it's using our networks, whether it's, whatever. Let's think about that and try to make this, I think, a more action-oriented discussion, right?
My name is Abdulghani Ibrahim, and kind of to pick off what my friend said here. So one of the things that also that can help us and help the people here, our people, is the buses. If you look at a bus, today you're on a bus, when it stops, people get off where the traffic sight is, which is the most dangerous things for them and dangerous to you as well. And anywhere else in the world that we've been to, there's bus stops. So, as an organization, those are the things that, can go a long way, changing it, contributing to, my background is city minor, planning and city minor. So when you look at how to kind of move people around, there should be a stationary, or we should work on developing a stationary for bus stops. I know there is one location where they pick up, but after that, they just stop anywhere they want to stop. Before we even can complain with the road, when's the last time you've seen a traffic sign here? The other day I got into trouble with the police because supposedly I was going the wrong way on the road. So how am I going the wrong way? Like, how am I supposed to know I'm going the wrong way on a road if there's no sign? Even the area where there's government ministries, there's armed officers. Even if you stop just to look location, you're more likely to die in that spot because you can't stop, even though there's no signs that say you can't stop. So all of these things are kind of confusing for us when we get here first, but a gentleman said, after a while, you just do as the people do, because you can't change anyone's mind. So to kind of add on to it, I would, say that as an organization, those are the little things that we can work on it and contribute for the safety of people. If there's somehow, can look at the quality control here on things that get imported, how dangerous it is for the population, for the people, and kind of look into how we can improve people's lives. I think it will improve overall and help the lady who's blocking on the road, because she doesn't see a problem because someone else doesn't see it as a problem, or create a location where such an informal market can exist, rather than I'm sure all these businesses that operate in downtown are not registered businesses, but no one really registered business here. I'm sure there's some type of WSATA that's supposed to oversee it, but I don't know any of the WSATAs and what they do. Yeah. So unless you guys know what they do, I'm more than willing to learn.
So as SLPA as an organization, should we focus our efforts on one thing? So as Adam said, make a road and then do that, or should we diversify and say, okay, you're city planning, right? So you have a committee to do that and fundraise on your own. You do the road construction, you do healthcare and quality control, something like that. So should we do that and kind of split apart, or should we all come together and just do one thing?
I just want to pick up from you, because you're talking about how we can make change as a group. I know Said is going to hate me because I always put money with everything, because I feel in order to keep things, you have to have money coming in, coming out. Very important to make it sustainable, whatever you're doing project-wise. So even if we say today we're talking about the buses, one of the things that we could do, we could start our own buses, but as a business, profits. But also change the system and how those buses are walking through, showing people example, but at the same time, this is sustainable. And Somali people loves money, and they'll copy when it's money, it's involved. So right now, I'm in a community called Silicon Valley. It's because my background is from tech. So we started this community right now since I came here. It's almost like 2 months and a half. And one of the things that I say, I was like, we want to build a tech ecosystem, because there's no tech ecosystem here. We know we have a Telesom, but I don't put them as a technology company, because they're out there, they're now doing the things that are supposed to be done as a tech company to be innovative and things like that. So I would say we need to build a tech system, a tech ecosystem for youth, especially for young people, to inspire them, so they can build up the next Google for Somaliland, for Africa, and build up things that can not just only generate in Somalia, but also outside of Somaliland, especially focusing on seeing the big picture of how they can sell in Africa. So one of the things that I say, like, okay, the tech ecosystem in Somaliland, it's very immature, and needs to be built up. But we could say we're going to create talents, people to learn about tech and things like that. But also we want to make it sustainable. So what I did, we started Somaliland Startup House, and now we have 2 startups that are coming in, training them and how to become a startup that they could create it here, but also they could inspire people, because once they inspire those 2 startups, if they come up and they become a big, maybe, I don't know if you guys heard about Paystack, they become the Paystack from Somaliland, then everyone will start copying, because it's involved money, it's involved sustainability, and it's involved that this is how you make a tech startup. It's just like you build up with the people, with the local people who learn from here and everything else, but also it's bring that value of you catch up the whole value, which is money, which people will be a right to copy. So whatever we're going to come here and solve and everything, I think it's very important to also focus on how we can sustain things like that. And also it'll make so much okay for most of us, because some of us, we want to move here or maybe even plan here to do some projects. So this could be part of the project that you want to create. Whatever you have, okay, it's about buses, let's create a buses, let's work on that. This is business, this is sustainable, this is going to inspire people, it's going to change the system, things like that. So I just want to put that out there, that we need to focus on how we can sustain. And I think money is the only thing that could sustain us, and focus on creating more things and more projects.
My name is Yassine. I've been living here for about 1.5 years. I'm not American, I'm from Canada, I'm from Toronto. Speaking, I guess, to Adam's point, I also wrote roads, and the reason why I say that is because infrastructure is the #1 cause of growth. If you look at, for example, a lot of the Tuloin and the villages between here and Berbera, a lot of them have developed just because of the traffic that's going through them. So if there is, I live in New Hargeisa, I live in Hudden Hills, right? There's been a new road that has been built up going north, and it's going to connect to the bypass that comes from Berbera to Wachala, the Bokolio Kontanka road, right? The amount of houses, the amount of businesses, the amount of improvements that have happened in the area, just because of that one simple road that was built, is not something that you're going to believe. And speaking to the corruption, why you can't be apolitical, when the community built that road, they brought their money together. Would you believe it if I told you guys, Dawlad Hoseh said, if you guys don't give the contract, the qandaras to this specific construction company, you're not going to be allowed to do this. YouTube can if you don't allow us. They had to threaten him and say, we're going to put you guys on blast. I guess a little bit about myself. I'm an engineer. I started a nonprofit organization, and we work here and in the Somali region of Ethiopia. We build dams, sand dams, and rainwater harvesting technologies. So I work on that part-time, and I also work full-time for a manufacturing company that my family owns. And I've been here for about 1.5 years. And the biggest lesson that I've learned, comparing the work that I've seen for profit with my family versus the nonprofit work that I do, is the biggest thing that people need here is employment. You know, you can do as many cash handouts as you want. You could support as many IDPs as you want. You could support as many orphans as you want. Although education is something I stand by. But if this person does not have a source of their own income, if they're not someone who can support themselves, we're not going to go anywhere. It's like you were saying with the point about Paul Kagame saying, other countries, they always talk about markets. They always talk about money. They talk about their GDP, their economy. Us, it's, okay, we have the Norwegian Refugee Council, we have WHO, we have this NGO. Why can't it be employment? And people do need to be selfish. It's like the sister said, people want money. If you make it for profit, people will show up every single day. I guess just to wrap up my point, like our company employs over 100 people. Those are 100 people that are paying tax. That's 100 people that are sending their kids to school. That's 100 people who, like a lot of them now, mashallah, are buying cars. Some of them started building houses, they bought land. So you can see the development slowly happening. And I mean, like, despite my good intentions, I really think my dad's business is having a much bigger impact. Despite it being for profit, it's for business, you know? So I think, how do we build the roads? I don't have a specific answer. I don't know how we get across being apolitical versus the fundraising, Allahu Alam, but I think that's something that has to be done. And I think people need to focus on business. That's the biggest impact we can have.
So right now we're in an innovation center where there's a lot of startups. But if you can believe that not one startup of all of the startups has really succeeded when they're funded by outside, like Oxfam, the UN, any of these development organizations. They start up a project and this and that, but nothing has sustained in Somaliland except for Dawaya. So Dawaya, the one thing that separates Dawaya from other startups is that it's not based on development, but or development organizations. It's based on Telesom, correctly, right? Telesom funded that organization. So that, I feel like when there's a Somali organization or company funding that organization, they're going to put, their energy in it. They're going to give them resources. They're also going to micromanage everything, so it makes sure that there's a return on investment. So do you think having a corporate social responsibility culture or a pathway to that is sustainable, or is there another option?
My name is Nuruddin. I used to be a teacher in China, and from after China, I got into blockchain and cryptocurrency, and now I'm a blockchain developer. And I think the best thing that you brought up a good point. You also brought up a good point, the brother too. I think like also with the fundraising with SLPA. If you actually create, I don't know if you guys know about cryptocurrency, with Bitcoins and Ethereum, and if you create a blockchain with SPLA, because I've created my own cryptocurrency before, and you can even use it with SPLA, and then once you just kind of do something with SPLA backed by cryptocurrency with the D app, and then just kind of do something, and then have other people just like if they're doing something at the same time, and then they also get rewarded with the digital currency, then and then like the more value that people are getting that digital currency, then that value can grow as well.
Yeah, I just want to talk about, because I'm part of investment things, and I've been helping innovative venture for quite now almost 4 years or 3 years. So we're talking about this space too. So one of the things about, there's not a lot of improvement on how they're funding the startup. First of all, they get the money from grants. So one of the things, so there's no really a nitty-gritty to make sure a startup is become successful. And I've been working in innovative venture. They do the same thing too. So it's very important. There's except maybe for Dawe, which is kind of like low-key type of ish. There's no VC culture in Somalia. There's none, actually. It was not actually, even in Africa right now, it's kind of coming in, but here in Somalia, there's none. Anything that you see that is fundraising, it's not based on making sure that startup is becoming successful, sustainable, it's creating money and become a big things, and then could create more things and more things. So I think that should be our focus. I know Telesom, the owner of Telesom, he's from Canada, so those part of diaspora. So one of the things that I'm hoping that can come up from SLP is creating a VC culture in here.
Okay, can you explain what that is?
Yeah, so it's pretty much I'm becoming an investor. So I'm putting my money. We create a fund here. We can create there's a different ways of creating a VC. We can do a rolling fund. We can do like traditional VC. We can talk about that, the specific and everything else. But it could be like all of us here put our money. Like we can say right now we're fundraising for 10K. But each person who's fundraising is an investor. That means an angel investor who is expecting to get a profit. So I'm giving you my money so you can do the work, so you can give me my money back so I can invest more. Yeah, so it's not just I'm going to give you and then you're going to use it and then it's becoming grant. And I think that's the most problematic thing that I've seen here as being working in investment in Somaliland. And I think hopefully we can make that happen. And I think it will be beneficial because you're gonna put your 5K, you're gonna put your 10K, whatever you have, you're gonna put it, and you're gonna get back. We're gonna create the Paystack of Somalia. We're gonna create the Google Somaliland, whatever that we can create, the next Telesom or next Zad or better Zad, whatever that, and I'm getting my profit. And then that will really encourage not only people in this room, but also other diaspora to come in and participate.
So a proposal could be for SLPA that we as members, we become micro investors, right? Or we put in, like, for example, if we wanted to do road construction, and our plan is not only just Bogole Kontonka, Chiga Road or anything like that. I think that would be a great place, an avenue for us to increase our membership, and also that you can have a stake in the company. So, for example, I put $5,000 down, and that $5,000, I'll know like through time, I can double my investment, and I can make 10,000. Or something like that. It's kind of comparable to the investment in land here. So land here is really expensive compared to the rest of Africa. A piece of land, if I buy it for 100K, like in a few years, it might be double my investment. So it could be that type of and plan. So I think that's a great point that you make, that SLPA could really be a mode for us to increase the economy that way. But yeah, so that we'll take note.
No, sorry. One thing I would like to add, I think, to that would be kind of improving, it's like a general statement, but improving Somaliland's formal justice system. So in many cases, even though, yeah, we do need the roads, we do need a lot of things here, another matter that usually does get ignored is a lot of human rights violations that happen in the country. And a lot of that, it comes to the people just not being educated about their rights and not knowing what they should expect from their government, and what they should voice for themselves. So I would like to bring up maybe how SLPA could help out. Could be potentially having not like roundtable sessions, but more for the youth. And mostly for disadvantaged youth. So a lot of people, as you guys know, I don't know if you guys know much about the law or the Constitution here, but a lot of kids, when you can't find a job legally, you do turn to illegal activities. So stealing phones, stealing whatever you need to find. So kind of educating the youth and also letting them know that when they're getting arrested and being put in prisons with adults that have committed crimes that are more severe than stealing a phone, when they come out, they end up doing worse things. And slowly but surely, they start having issues outside of just living in that environment where you're incapacitated with like so many different people that are chewing qad. So there's a lot of issues that come from just being put in jail at a very young age. So I would suggest maybe having SLPA could maybe start a mentorship program where it could even have some tutoring to volunteer tutors because I know there's a lot of people, and it could be opened up to students or university students that are actually living in Somaliland, for students to come learn the language where they can feel like they could potentially find jobs in the future and not have to sucked into this mentality of being this gang mentality, or even just turning into qad and doing a lot of other stuff that they could probably prevent. So I would just like to highlight that like more humanitarian type of work.
So we have that mentorship program. So that's a great idea. So possibly we can do a mentorship program that's cross-sectional through America to Somaliland, and just kind of, and also make a way for all of these kids who are basically in the streets. You see them all the time, So that's a great point, and we'll take a note of that. So in terms of that, I wanted to take a vote on whether to diversify Somaliland into committees, or if we're in a consolidated effort. And we basically choose one thing. If we're going to do a startup-like mentality and become investors, let's do that. Or should we, since we have 350 plus members now, should we go into committees and then start side projects?
horta aad iyo aad baa u mahadsantihiin inaad ka timaadeen halkan ogaa intaas oo mayl aad timaadeen oo halkan timaadeen ood xiisa muujiseen iyo kalgacal aad u haysaan dalkiina hooyo inaad caawa halkan iskugu timaadaan ood ka sheekaysataan oo ka wada hadalkaan sidee wax loo qaban karaa oo aad soo qaataan waxyaalo badan oo ay ka mid tahay wadooyinka jajaban sidee shaqooyin loo abuuri karaa sidee muxuu ahaa money making projects lacag projectya ah si loo samayn lahaa sidii muxuu ahaa internship loogu samayn lahaa dada environmentka looga shaqo waxaas oo dhan it's all good way wada wanaagsan yihiin laakiin waxaan anigu idinkula talin lahaa inay priority aynu ka yeelano nidhaah 1 2 3 4 waayo resources might not be available as quick as you want it, and as you said, you may not have the resources. And like that, in Balagayaba process. Marka anigu waxaan u laabtaa magacan SLPA inay noqoto household name in Hargeisa, Somaliland, or in Somaliland for that matter. Why? Markaynu nidhaa wadanu samaynayna laga yaababa in laynagu qabsadaba an example yar idisiiyo dhalinyara isku tagtay oo meel street ay xashiish islaan ka gura jaarkiiba dhagax iyo bud la soo qaatay why waxay yidhahdeen waxaad u samaynaysaan hay-adda lacag soo qaadateen egada mintaa marka waxaan odhan lahaa anugu fikradda wadahan dhisno waa fikrad aad u wanaagsan marka waxay taas u odhanaysaa okay wadadaa la dhisayo waxay noqonaysaa see lagu dooranayaa okay because siyaaladay u gelisa local context ka magarasa saynu u dooranaa wadada imisa kilomitir bay noqoni marka dawladda hoose ayaynu la galangalatamaynaa I will become part of your facilitators marka waxaan leenahay annagoo dibadda ka nimid oo xiisiya kalgacal qaba dalkayga waxaanu doonaynaa inaanu wada dhisno 2 kilometers 1 kilometer engineeraynu haysanaa waa la qiimeynayaa wax badan ma marka waxa weeyaan almost 40% dawladda hoosaa bixinaysa inta kale bixinayna marka taa samaysay magacaaga aad saa ku samayso aan timeline aad ku samayso then also waxa jirta along that road sidii makaba la sheegay entrepreneurship dukaana laga dhisiyo waxyaalaha laga qabto fikrado cusub waa la xadaa fikradaha saaseynteeba laakiin waa in ka fikirtaa fikradaha markaaba lacag laga samayn karaa marka waxaan oran lahaa with two small pieces yar baynu qanqaninaynaa we will introduce ourselves into the system slowly zero talaaba loo gelayaa while we are also at the same time exploring all these good things you're talking about oo hadday noqoto health system programs hadday noqoto justice seminars amba internship hadday noqoto bitcoins digital currency hadday noqoto investment kanaynu leenahay keeno iminka dawladda hoose markaynu leenahay wadda yar aynu dhisno oo magaceena laynoogu qoro SLPA ardaydii maraykankii dhalinyaradii aqoontii wax baratay ayaa isku timid oo dalkooda jecel oo samaynaysa sometimes you have to drum your own things it's good markaan taa samayno taa la sameeyo ayaa dadka wixii kale dhanad ku xigsiin kartaa waanad mahadsantihiin thank you intaas baan kusoo biirin
Okay, so in terms of creating this sort of, or making a consensus, we did agree on unifying and having one goal and one project that we can create. And it's true, 350 people, and we raise money from that. We can easily make the amount that we need to fundraise for the initiative. How about taking Ayan's suggestion of creating some sort of company out of this, and having people who make substantial investments become a stakeholder? So my question is, how do we make this attractive? I know this is a very controversial question, but how do we make this attractive to people who are not struggling with us, for example? So in America, we have this kind of thing. If they're not really experiencing it, it's out of mind, out of sight, out of mind. So should we create an advocacy campaign to say, look at the roads, look at, and just try to do that? You can, we have a PayPal where you can donate, and we have to, and it's also tax deductible. So we're on that right start. Please share it with people. If you're donating as well for a cause, this would be a great initiative. And once we do come up with a framework for this, we can employ people as well and try to take kind of, make a committee, an executive committee of some sort. And I would definitely contact every single one of you to see where we can work together in terms of bringing this up. But Ayan, this is I think, since you are trying to do this in Somaliland, we would definitely lean on you. And also everyone has a part. So I think that's a great start. Since we said I was going to go into more things if we voted on diversifying and things like that. But if we want to, do we want to come up with an achievable goal that we can do? For example, is this road? Is this a small road, as you said, like something very achievable that we could do? We were thinking also of creating like a house here, since we are housed in Washington, D.C., have like an affiliate office as well in Hargeisa, so we can implement these projects and things like that. So, definitely we'll have another meeting soon.
We will host the first one.
Oh, okay, thank you so much. Okay, so I don't want to, I mean, we can talk about this for a long time, so we have a lot to talk about. But so far, in summary, we decided to come as one, as SLPA, and have one goal in terms of developing Somaliland. We're going to start small by creating a fund management team initially, and then creating the startup and creating an investment fund through social entrepreneurship. So I see three different kind of projects, but at the same time it's the same. The cleanup one, that could be part of Golis University. Teaching English also, like how people teach English virtually in China. We can teach English to our Somali brothers and sisters. And that could be a program that SLPA can initiate. And the road initiative. So we're going to strategize and also, and do the action plan. So thank you so much. I want to graciously thank Golis University for being a sponsor today. Thank you. Partner for us. Hub for hosting us for our first annual roundtable discussion. And yes, and our SLPA members who are behind the scenes and working really hard to make this event very successful. So, and thank you all for attending as well.